Superman is too campy, Superman is too boring, Superman is too dark, and now Superman is too nice. James Gunn has been dealt with the task that no one will touch until it's a new quarter. It's been 12 years and people have been asking for a solo Superman movie. Specifically, Snyder fans have demanded for a new Henry Cavill film. Yeah, the Superman we just followed for the past decade that only got one solo film. DC is like an abusive dad when it comes to their movies. There are moments where you think they can do some good, but the second they drink some of that Walter Hamada potion, it's back to being down with no hope. Hope is a big theme with this new Superman film, which originally was called Superman Legacy. I wouldn't say David Cornsweet has big shoes to fill because I feel that there is no definitive Superman movie that everyone enjoys. The original films are solid. I wouldn't say great because of how they aged, but what they did right was having a charismatic Superman who saves people while also balancing the life of Clark Kent. That is no diss to Henry Cavill because I'm actually more of a fan of Man of Steel than the majority. I mean, I own this Blu-ray for a reason. Growing up, he was the first Superman I saw in theaters and I liked it. Looking back at it, it's an extremely dark film and at the end of the day, it's a bad representation of Superman. 2013 was a different time for comic book movies. Just look at these three posters and tell me if you feel any sense of light. For Christ's sake, one of the films is called Dark World. It's now 2025 and we are past the Snyder era of DC as no film could balance financial and critical success except for maybe Aquaman or Wonder Woman, and at best, they're average. We are left to experiment once again with the character of Superman that hopefully should launch a universe that DC has been trying to compete with Marvel. That's been in the work for years. However, comic book movie fatigue is real, especially after Endgame. But the best comic book movies from this decade have been The Suicide Squad, The Batman, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and Superman. 3 of those movies are directed by James Gunn, and I'm here today to tell you why I think it's great. Superman is the first film in the new James Gunn run DC universe, while not technically the first project as Creature Commandos on HBO Max is the setup. We also have Peacemaker and I guess the Suicide Squad, but it's not fully canon. You do not need to watch anything to understand Superman, which is refreshing. As a matter of fact, this is no origin movie. It's a world where Superman is already 3 years into, well, being Superman. Everyone loves him. He saves pets, he's got a baddie girlfriend, and a stable job. What can possibly go wrong? There's always going to be one hater, and that hater is a billionaire who can create pocket universes, international conflicts, release giant aliens, and have a head shinier than the sun. Lex Luthor is here to ruin the legacy of Superman, and Supes has to put together the pieces in order to build back the trust of the world in order to stop Lex. That's all I will say about the plot of the film, but as far as characters, there's Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, Guy Gardner, Metamorpho, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and of course, Crypto. There are many others, but these are the core characters in this film. I did not think that a Superman movie with a bunch of other superheroes was going to work, but it did. They did not take up too much screen time, and they were there to make the universe feel lived in. There's no need to show the origin of superheroes and how the world has to adapt to them, because we have seen that so many times. Superheroes just exist, and that's that. And what I like that this film deals with is trust. Even though these metahumans are doing good, what happens if they're actually bad? What if their agenda is worse than what the villains are possessing? It's great commentary about tech-focused Western civilizations where people online can spread information so easily, and do we know if it's even true or false? Cancel culture is such a big thing in this film, and it's funny that the director, writer, and head of DCU is basically saying fuck you to Disney. James Gunn is a stand-up guy, and it's crazy to say that without those old tweets, this movie would have never existed. Now, this is not some sort of James Gunn glaze fest, as this film is trying to discuss bigger things. Immigration, international conflicts, things we see daily and people are not actually there to see what it's like. The media controls our perception of these world events, and in order to have a true understanding, we must be intellectuals and form our own opinions with valid evidence. In this world, Lex Luthor is putting propaganda out there because Superman is an alien from outer space. Therefore, he is a foreign threat that is trying to invade Earth and make it into a kingdom of his own. Accusers usually are the ones doing the crime, and that is Lex here, as he is trying to build an empire of his own, kind of like some real-life figures. Calling out these fascist organizations and leaders is really stirring up the media, as we got Fox News boycotting the film because it's too woke. No, this film is not some sort of forced political ideology. It actually feels very natural as it blends our world and the one in the DC Comics to make a universe that I'm excited to see. Is this movie going to be for everyone? I would say so, but there are those who don't care about the story of Superman and they just want to see him kick some ass and watch a visually pleasing movie. I would say the movie looks great visually, but there are times where I'm just not a fan of the look. Cinematographer Henry Brahm has done a lot of comic book films, such as Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and 3, The Suicide Squad, The Flash, and Superman. I'm a big fan of The Suicide Squad. I think that film killed it visually, and Guardians looks great too. I just think the coloring in the third one is a little more bland. Regardless though, Brahm has proven himself to be a great cinematographer. One thing he struggles with lately is shooting CG. The Flash is one of the worst looking comic book movies, but even in there, there's some good shots. I think Brahm can shoot scenery well, but when it comes to his action, I'm not the biggest fan. Audiences are going to be let down at times because of the wonky CGI, and it doesn't help that it's paired with shots that use really wide angle lenses. Does it make it look more comic booky? No, I think it looks more like Clone Wars. Snyder films are more digestible when it comes to the action directing, but even then it feels like Michael Bay slop with the faraway tracking zooms, dull coloring, and constant cuts. Brahm is at least able to capture the scale of Superman in this, and if you want the true experience of this film, it should be viewed in IMAX. Brahm is big on shooting on 191 aspect ratio, while not shot with IMAX cameras is intended for IMAX viewing. Man of Steel and millions of other comic book films use 241, which is just widescreen formatting, aka the black bars. The full screen format can feel less cinematic, at least that's how I feel, but it does make it feel more real, so take that as you will. I will complain about the CG, but it's only for a few shots, and for how much CG is used, it looks mostly great. If James Gunn wasn't in control, we may have been cooked, because when it comes to directing animals and large creatures, Gunn makes those fuckers look legit. Besides the visuals being a concern with the flick, some may say Superman is not as badass as he should be. To that, yeah, he is not the almighty god we have seen him, but that would be boring. Him having a struggle makes the story more relatable, and the moments where he's able to show his true strength makes it more impactful. We don't need him to be aura forming in the courtroom. He saves people, he struggles, he's just like us, but he has the ability to achieve the possible, and he is trying to do so. Call him soft, call him woke, I don't care, because this is how Superman should be. Every movie lacks the ability to create an interesting story with conflict that feels more relevant than his foe just trying to make Earth into another Krypton. There is a dynamic between Lex and Superman that makes them the best foe duo since Joker and Batman in The Dark Knight. One can do anything he wants with money, yet he chooses to do evil, and one can do anything he wants physically, yet he chooses good. Even with that in mind, it seems that money is still the most powerful thing. Another gripe that I've seen others online say, and I felt that maybe for a little bit, is the film feels too jam-packed. Yes, it's a little over 2 hours, and that's perfect. This is an introduction into a new world, and what it needed to do was to build upon it so we can be excited. It does not flesh it out like Avatar does, or even Lord of the Rings, but that is fine because we are supposed to focus on Superman. There's not a lot of Clark Kent, but his persona with Superman is extremely human, and it's just about a metahuman/man who's dealt with a conflict like no other, and he has to show perseverance by wisely using his powers to become stronger. Boo-hoo! An almost all-powerful metahuman has to show growth. So to that, if that's how you feel, that is fine, but the fact that a Superman movie finally has some interesting commentary is a treat. I think a true criticism about the story, or more so the script, is it overdoes its corniness. One-liners and unnecessary gags are in here that may have Snyder fans boiling, and sure, it's a big problem in these modern blockbusters, but it's a Superman film. So this should be granted because at the end of the day, it is about a man flying around a city, stopping giant monsters while wearing red underwear. It's a silly film, but it takes time to show those emotional moments, and there's a lot of drama established. As big as it can seem, at the end of the day, it's about one man versus the other. If you do not like that lighthearted tone, it's best to just stick to watching The Batman, because a place like Gotham City should be dark. Superman is a different character with more fantastical elements that erase that grounded tone. And if you don't like this film, truth is, you probably are just not the biggest fan of Superman, and that is okay. I love dark movies. I mean, just look at my letterbox. It's like Saw, Final Destination 7 are my nightly watches. In general, comic book movies are lighthearted, and yes, there are a lot of dark ones, and we will get those adapted, especially in the DCU, but this film is more than just another Superman movie. This is supposed to bring light into a new world that feels big and has extraterrestrial elements, and will not hold back to show those wacky comic book characters. This is not some sort of grounded Nolan world where Superman is supposed to fight on lower whacker drive. This is a shift into the DC movies that have been good, and it's time that there is a movie that can feel grounded but have fun with the comic book element, and that is Superman. I can't explain how this film works so much, but it does thanks to the cast performances. David Cornsweet kills it as Superman, as he is the best Superman, no doubt. He is nerdy, awkward as if he is a real alien, charismatic, caring, and yes, he shows some true rage. I think the show stealers here are Eddie Gathecki and Nicholas Hoult. Mr. Terrific is terrific, and you can't ignore the aura he has as he does his thing. Gathecki balances that nonchalant hacker type to a T, and he redeems himself from the wrongdoings of X-Men First Class. Hoult is the perfect young Luthor, and I would say he displays the best adaptation of the character. Even though Kevin Spacey kills it as an older version of Lex, Hoult does everything Eisenberg couldn't do, and that is 1. Looking like Lex, 2. Being a man-child, and 3. Having that evil composure that tech billionaires have. This is one of the best performances in his career, and I think what makes it even better is that he actually auditioned to play Superman. When he did not get that part, he got cast as Lex, so when on screen you see him crashing on co-star Cornsweet, you can't help but to think that there's a hint of genuine jealousy there. Rachel Brosnahan kills it as Lois, mixing that CW Lois with Margot Kidder's rough grit personality, along with dishing out her own take on the character. The chemistry works with her and Superman, and the two of them gave me some teary-eyed moments. There are quite a few in this film. There is something so special about seeing a genuinely good Superman, and it just feels that a lot of these superhero movies nowadays are writing to want to care about saving people, but not really showing any emotion when a big messy third act happens. Superman is different. He does everything he can to save people, and he shows true emotion when people are in danger. We are filled in a world with envy, and subtly, we are just one-upping each other through a digital universe. That universe can create depression, anxiety, envy, laziness. Some of it even creates determination. We have lost a bit of our humanity, and we are also lacking kindness. Maybe because we are too worried about both worlds and we're not considering its impact. Superman is here to show that kindness goes a long way even when the whole world has your back against the wall. As long as you stay true to your word, you will achieve greatness. It's the simple roots of why we look up to heroes. We want to be the best, we want to do the best, and to most we feel like we can't because of others' harsh comments or seeing someone on a Dubai trip. Envy holds us back, and we must look beyond that and keep our morals simple by just caring for one another. You can give people a chance, but some will never, and those people are not worth stressing over. The true evil here is those who try to take away our humanity through money, laws, and hierarchy, but we must not let them strip us of our humanity. It is the billions of hard workers who have the freedom of speech and the rest that should have that power to stand up to bigotry. Together, we are stronger than ever, and a Superman film that may not have Superman be the strongest shows that when working together with other heroes, we create a strength stronger than a dollar amount, and that is humanity. I have to give the film its flowers because it has something important to say. It may be one of my favorite comic book movies ever, and the fact that it's Superman makes it even better. It has flaws, of course, but what this film has to say during these times is something we need to hear. This is a 9 out of 10 film for me, and I think beyond its strong message, it's an entertaining movie that audiences are going to be pleased with, and it should give the DCU some webbing to weave a new universe like no other. If you've seen Superman or plan on seeing it, let me know down in the comments. If you like seeing what you're seeing, subscribe to this channel to see the dozens of other films I talk about. And of course, enjoy the ride.